ladies, I'm going to show you how you can add some objects into your perspective grid, and this will be helpful for when you're doing your business interiors. Now I'm going to start by putting a door over on the side. The nice thing about having a grid already drawn out is that a lot of the lines are already provided for you. You just need to darken them up a little bit. Now the sides of the door are parallel to the picture plane, so they are just going to be straight vertical lines. But the top of the doorway is moving away from the picture plane, so that needs to be an orthogonal. Now I want this doorway to have a little bit of depth to it, so we're going to create kind of like a little inside ledge. So go ahead and draw a small, skinny rectangle inside of the doorway, right here. Nothing's moving to the orthogonal here, it's going to stay vertical and horizontal. Now to create the little top part of the inside of the doorway, make sure you know where your vanishing point is. And draw an orthogonal line from the vanishing point across that little tiny corner, that skinny rectangle. And then if you want your doorway to look like you can see the back wall in that little side room, just line up your ruler with your first back wall and just continue that line. Now let's do a counter. This can be a display case for jewelry, it can be like a little ice cream case or any place for your register to go. This is really basic. We want to just start by drawing a square, a nice parallel square. Now I'm drawing a little bit far out from the wall because I want it to seem like employees could walk behind the counter, adding some realism. And then just like always when we're drawing cubes in one-point perspective, draw some orthogonal lines. I want my counter to look like it's going all the way to the back wall. Now, as always, when we are drawing a cube in one-point perspective, draw the smaller square inside of those orthogonals that you just drew. You want to leave all of these lines if your display case is made of glass, it's transparent. Now I'm going to show you, this part is optional, but adding a little bit of a, I guess you would say it's like a lid to the display case, like ice cream displays will have that kind of rounded front glass. Just extend up the back of the counter just a little bit. Connect these corners so that you have basically a triangular prism on top of your counter. And then if you want this display to be rounded, just add little tiny skinny half circles right outside of these triangles, and then you can erase the triangles. Now, of course, if you want your counter to not be transparent, you can just erase those little interior lines. Now, the next thing I'm going to draw is some shelves. So this can be a bookcase or anything just like that. Again, just like with the counter, start with a basic shape. This is going to be a tall rectangle, and nothing is moving to the vanishing point. It just stays parallel. Once you've got a good rectangle, you want to draw your orthogonal lines. Figure out how wide you want these shelves to be. The wider they are, the longer the orthogonal lines. I'm going to stop my bookcase about right here so it's not too wide. And just like whenever we're drawing any shape in one-point perspective, draw the smaller shape, in this case a smaller rectangle, inside of it. Now let's talk about adding some shelving inside. What you want to do is just draw a really skinny rectangle inside the side of your bookcase somewhere, and then from that rectangle, do the same old thing, draw some orthogonal lines all the way to the back side of the bookcase. Erase any parts that you don't want to be transparent and darken up your lines. And you can do that for this whole process. Now, real quick, if you have floating shelves, they aren't really in a case. It's the same thing as when we drew the shelves inside the bookcase. You're just not drawing the sides of the bookcase. So just draw a really skinny rectangle Draw some orthogonal lines as long as you want these shelves to be. Since this is above the vanishing point, we can see the underneath side of this floating shelf. And then again, draw that little smaller rectangle inside if it's transparent, or just cut it off. And then maybe we can put something on top of the shelf, like a little flower pot. Of course, you can't see inside the flower pot because it's above us. Next, I'm going to draw a clothing rack. It's just going to be composed of two poles, one closer to us and one further away from us, with a long pole going across the top. So just start by drawing one pole, and then the back pole that's further away, it has to be on the same orthogonal line to show that it's really in 1-point perspective. So just draw a skinnier pole back on the orthogonal line, and then connect the top with more orthogonals, because they're at right angles to the picture plane. Once you've got that how you like it, you can add articles of clothing. So same process for the table. Figure out how far down, how wide you want it to be. Start with just a little rectangle. Connect the orthogonals. Figure out where you want the back of the table to be and just cut it off with a horizontal line. Now for the table legs, mark how long you want the table legs to be. Mine are going to come down to about right here. Now the table legs are parallel to the picture plane, so we need to make sure that they are both the same length. You can mark off a transversal where you want them to go. And the table legs are on the back, just like with the clothing rack. It has to line up on the same orthogonal line. So it's a long table going all the way to the back wall. Now if you want to draw a chair, a basic chair that has a backrest, you want to start by drawing a sort of L shape. So this chair is going to be facing the wall with the shelves. So draw one skinny rectangle, attach another one to it to make pretty much an L. You can make this as thick or as thin as you want it to be. And from the corners of these edges, take your ruler, draw some orthogonals. They're not going to go back very far because it's just a chair, it's not too big. We'll make sure you get the edge where the seat connects to the backrest. And then mark off where you want the further back edge of the chair to be. Connect them with some orthogonals. And the chair legs are just going to follow the same exact process as the table legs. Make sure that they are both the same length because they're parallel with the picture plane for these closer legs. And then the back legs have to follow the same orthogonal, so make sure that you know where your back legs should stop. So next up, I'm going to show you how to draw something like a logo or a menu on the back wall. So this poster, or some guidelines just to start you out, make sure that they are going towards the vanishing point. I'm just going to write the words art on the wall. Having these guidelines that we just drew out will help you make sure that the letters are still getting smaller as they get further away. And I'm just going to make these into little bubble letters, plain and simple. And then I'm going to erase the guidelines because I just want it to be the words. Now the very last thing I'm going to put in is a window back here. So just do a basic square, and even though this is on the back wall, we still want to add some depth to the window. Just like we did with the doorway. Have one little line going to the vanishing point, and then just add some little straight lines back here to show that the window is three-dimensional. And that's about it.